Hello, my name is Benjamin Hart. I'm an American attorney and the Managing Director of Integrity Legal here in Bangkok, Thailand. As the title of this video suggests, we're discussing the so-called gap between processing at the Department of Homeland Security and the National Visa Center and then the U.S. Embassy regarding K-1, K-3, and IR-1 Visa. So what are we talking about here? What you need to understand is the underlying petition associated with any one of these visas, CR1, IR1, or K-3, the underlying petition has to be adjudicated by the Department of Homeland Security. So, okay, let's presume that part of the process is done and the case has been approved. Now what happens? Well, first of all, let's speak to K-3s. K-3s, generally speaking, operate the same way as a K-1 fiancé visa in its relationship with the National Visa Center if the K-3 is going to proceed. Now, about 12 years ago-ish, the National Visa Center, as a practical matter, effectively began just kind of administratively closing K-3 supplemental petitions because they deemed them not necessary. There was a time, and it was during that time period that the Life Act was promulgated, which created the K-3 visa. At that time, there was a lot longer processing time associated with the petitions for the CR1 and the IR1 visa, and they created the K-3 to provide kind of an expedited process for American citizens looking to bring a spouse into the United States. In many cases these days, it's often deemed that that's not necessary because the processing time is fast enough at Department of Homeland Security, so they just go ahead and close the K-3. That's what generally happens there. Now, with regard to the CR1 or the IR1 visa, yeah, there is something what I call a gap, I also call it a quagmire, in the National Visa Center. A CR1 or an IR1 visa goes over to the National Visa Center, and oftentimes it will languish there for a fairly prolonged period of time for a variety of different reasons. In my opinion, the overall framework that they use for uploading documentations and things is not optimal. On top of that, it's really not a well-designed overall system. A lot of redundancy there. I've made other videos on this channel regarding that. That being said, the cases have to go through National Visa Center before they can come over here to the U.S. Embassy in Thailand. I'm going to make this video from a Thailand perspective, but any U.S. Embassy as well, you know, in any context, you got to go through National Visa Center before you're going to get to an embassy or consulate abroad. So the thing to take away from this video is that, look, yeah, there is something of a gap in the middle of the overall process where you kind of get stuck in this, I kind of call it a limbo, a quagmire, whatever you want to call it, where your CR1 or IR1 visa is processing through NVC, but it has yet to reach the embassy to go ahead and start dealing with the interview and presumably ultimately the issuance of a CR1 or IR1 visa for a foreign spouse.